we're going to move into the markets now. Sponsored by Cashew, which is doing exceptionally well as a business. We've had a wonderful couple of months, working with some really cool companies listed in Canada and also the US now. Got a little cheeky gold back, not formally announced yet, but I've got the merch on. Some exciting things. Goldback. Yeah, some exciting things happening with them. And also our stock packs, which have done quite well. Be fully transparent, they're not doing as well as the crypto market at the moment, but it's pretty hard to compete with that. But we're going to be launching crypto picks off the back of me and also our algorithms in the very near future. So stay tuned for that, because that's going to be huge. We've added some really cool features within the analysis parts of the app, which I'm stoked with. I think it's way more user-friendly. So we're always improving. We're also, for those 15 listeners that have gotten through to this point, we have a very good chance that we'll be giving all the premium features except the picks to everyone for free. So that's a big deal. We're going to at least see how that goes, because there's so much value in there. We just want everyone to enjoy it. And then, of course, if you want the big picks, you're going to have to pay for them, because I've made a lot of people money on Instagram just from people listening to what I've told them to do. So, sponsored. Not
financial advice.
Not financial advice. Never is. But yeah, things are really looking good, and we'll move into the general market update. I think I'll take this one away, Saucy, because it's been a tremendous couple of weeks.
Lead the charge, big fella, please.
Yes. Look, as we've harped on about for a long time, pretty much every episode leading into the election, post-election, we saw the huge tick in price, essentially, within Bitcoin and utility tokens. That's all we talked about. We talked about Bitcoin and utility tokens, not Ethereum, not Solana, none of that, none of these other altcoins, not Litecoin, Bitcoin and utility tokens. Now, since then, across the board, if I had to bundle all the utility tokens into one, we've probably seen an average of a 400% uptick in price, which is massive. You know, that's 4xing your money. And I've also been quite vocal in the fact that it's only just getting started. You know, this run is probably there'll be ups and downs. We've had a pretty red couple of days, the last 2 days, although it's bouncing back the last 2 hours. But yeah, the next probably 10 months at least, we're going to be in this bull run. And there will be ebbs and flows, but it's super exciting. I know that your Bitcoin portfolio, Jacko, has done exceptionally well, which is really exciting. And my utility tokens have done exceptionally well. And for those who still aren't, or for those new listeners who aren't across what the utility tokens are, that will be at the forefront of this whole new system starting in March next year, the ISO 222 system, which is the universal communication sort of policy between all international institutions. The cryptos I talk about mainly are XRP, XDC, XLM, HBAR, IOTA, Algo. There's probably a couple others I'm missing, but they're the ones that I have interests in. So look, do your research on them. But I don't see much changing is where I'm going with this. I think these are all still the opportunities that are looking really good. Bitcoin, I will say, you've kind of missed that boat for this cycle, in my opinion. If you weren't in, 4 or 5 months ago, there's no real point investing in Bitcoin now. One, because it's very expensive for a retail investor, and two, you're probably, the top for Bitcoin will probably come in between 120 to 140,000 for this cycle, is what I'm thinking. I don't think it's going to go it's not going to go to like 200 or 300, in my opinion, at least, this cycle. So I could be wrong, but the moral of the story is there's a lot more growth potential in these other smaller cap utility-based opportunities. So I would urge the listeners to really look into that because, again, Trumpy, he's pro-US crypto, likely no capital gains tax, regulations coming in very early next year, clearing the lay of the land for these tokens to inject themselves. And the big point is that a lot of these assets are merely valued at the moment on retail speculation. We haven't actually seen the main drivers kick in when they're being used by institutions for what they were built for, so their true purpose. And that can only happen once these regulations are crystal clear. In the US, at least. Japan's going to start using them very early next year. And Europe, with their MiCA regulations, will also start to kick in early next year. So, yeah, as I've said to existing holders, just chill, relax, ride the wave, because at the moment they're still drastically undervalued, in my opinion. Not financial advice, to your own research, but so many exciting things to come. And yeah, when the time comes as well to take profits, I'll be very vocal about when I'm going to do that, and I'll probably rotate back into some of the cashew picks and stocks that we identify as good opportunities for a more steady, sort of safe base that I can put some of my capital into. So that's my overview. That's my sentiments. It's all very exciting. I'm absolutely loving waking up every morning, just diving into the daily news and what's happening and keeping track of the markets. How have you found it all, Saucy, the last few weeks, and what have your sentiments been?
Positive, Nath. Again, optimistic and upbeat about markets in general. I'll quickly touch on that point you raised about Bitcoin's ceiling and about, your view that there's higher growth potential for the utility tokens. It's a space you know exceptionally well. You've done, markedly more research than I. And I do think you're right. I think clearly Bitcoin will have a ceiling, and I tend to agree with you. I think if you got into Bitcoin 4 or 5 months ago, or you've been consistently buying for the last however long, I think now's the type of time to think about an exit strategy. As in, don't panic sell. God no. I think there's enough. I think there's enough runway left, and I do think there's still considerable upside. Probably I have a view that it might be in the realm of 140, 150k USD, but we'll see. But I do think you start to think about an exit strategy, and I don't think utility token. I think you're right, Nath. I don't think the utility token ride, and what's it called? The altcoin, when it's more about the alts than the Bitcoin.
Well, alts is basically just everything else other than Bitcoin.
Exactly, but what's the cycle? What's the point in the cycle called when it?
So we've moved into alt season. Alt season has officially sort of started, and that's when Bitcoin dominance. And that doesn't mean Bitcoin's price falls off a cliff. It just means its dominance, the capital rotation shifts to more alt-based projects. So basically, the rest of the market, other than Bitcoin. And that's just the cycle. Yeah. So Bitcoin's price will still, as I said, I think it'll blow off top and sort of land around 120-ish, 100, maybe 130. But most of the capital is actually flowing through everything else. That's all that means.